Today, I want to talk to you about the iPhone 13 Pro. Stop. So I don't want to create a video that you've already seen. This is not one of those videos where I talk to you about cinematic mode, macro mode, because I believe these people have already created these videos. And let's be honest, they probably did a better job at saying what I think is worth saying about these topics in a video today. The reason that I'm creating this video is to let you know why I chose to go with the iPhone 13 Pro instead of the basic iPhone 13 models, which are also very good iPhones. So I went from an iPhone 11 to iPhone 13 Pro. So I have a little bit of a different perspective, or you can say that I have a delayed reaction to all the changes that were brought to the iPhone in the 12 lineup. The flat edges look so beautiful. I don't know if it's the nostalgia of the older iPhones or the flat edges make it seem more like a thick slab of glass, and the technology behind that slab of glass kind of hides in the background. Adding to that feeling of a thick slab of glass is the weight of this device. This iPhone is heavy, especially compared to my 11. This is a much heavier product. I can't really complain for this being heavy because they gave us 1.5 hours to 2.5 hours or more battery life, whatever that's supposed to mean. Or it could be the stainless steel that's added all this weight. If you're not aware, the sides of this iPhone or the frame of this iPhone is made out of stainless, surgical grade stainless steel, which basically means they chose a category of steel which is more expensive, one of the most expensive steels you can buy, which happen to be more corrosion resistant. And for an electronic device which has a very short lifespan and is not going to be subjected to an elongated period of time under moisture, that was a bad decision. But what do I know? I don't work for the richest company in the entire world. They obviously know what they're designing, and they almost never make a mistake. Speaking of mistakes, there's finally a 120Hz display on this phone. But what are you going to do with that? To be honest with you, iOS is probably one of the most optimized operating systems that run on very optimized hardware. But with the 120Hz display, it looks even better because it feels like I'm looking at something that lasts longer, feels way nicer than it does on my iPhone 11. But other than the looks nice and feels good kind of feeling, for an expensive upgrade, is this really worth it? I mean, you're not gonna be playing Fortnite at high FPS on this phone. Are you gonna be emulating games? Because emulators are not allowed on the App Store. I'm just kind of conflicted about why 120Hz came to this iPhone without any software level improvements. But if you think iPhone has one functionality that deserves the 120Hz display other than swiping from one screen to another, please let me know in the comment section. I'm really curious, and I bought this device and I don't know what to do with that display as of right now. But I cannot overappreciate the presence of the 3 camera sensors that exist on this phone. So there's a wide mode camera which does a decent job. Actually, the video you're watching right now is being recorded on the main sensor for this camera. So whatever it's doing in a very dimly lit room is a really nice video coming out of this iPhone. Second, there is an ultra-wide camera that can shoot macro photos, which is an amazing functionality, to be honest with you. As someone who likes photography but does not know a whole lot of macro photography techniques, I think having that in a phone and having a decent performance coming out of it is an amazing functionality. And then let's go to the telephoto lens. For whatever reason, unless you are in perfect situation, I don't know what the perfect situations are, it's almost impossible to access that camera. In a bright daylight situation, and that camera won't turn on. So you need to have a camera application that can specifically access the 3 different lenses. And I try to use the telephoto lens with the Movement Camera Pro application, which is an amazing application if you haven't given it a shot. To be honest with you, this is probably my only reason that I won't return this phone. Oh, the HDR display. Another differentiation on the Pro versus the regular phones that I was able to find, at least coming from iPhone 11, was the HDR display. The HDR display goes up to, I think, 1200 nits or 1000 nits. It's amazing. It's so beautiful to look at something that has a ton of colors. Having the notch being a little smaller is kind of a benefit. The 2 reasons that I will pick up this phone for is if you're going to watch a ton of movies that are in HDR, and if you care about portrait photography at all, not the portrait mode photography where it has a blur in the background, then you should probably pick up this phone. It is possible that if these 2 features don't mean that much to you, you will benefit a whole lot from just picking up the cheaper iPhone 13 instead of the 13 Pro. Having said that, you might want to also consider the iPhone 12 Pro models because they come with the HDR display.